Hey folks, it's Patriot Nurse. In today's segment, I want to discuss the motivation for why we prep. What's my motivation? And you may have heard that statement used in talk about drama and acting and things like that. What's my motivation? But I think it's a good question for us to pause and soak in. I've been prepping now for over a decade, which is crazy to think about. And a lot of you have been there with me from the beginning. Like you were some of my first subscribers back in the sunglasses days, my future was so bright I had to wear shades. But truly, it's a good question to ask. What's our motivation? And I think getting to the root of the motivation question saves us from A, a lot of wasted money, B, a lot of heartache and a lot of frustration, and then C, gives us clarity so that way as we're moving forward in the midst of potentially very uncertain times, what times are certain? It gives us the ability to make clear-headed judgments and positive decisions when we're operating at a proper place. So the question, what's my motivation? A lot of the prepping industry and a lot of preparedness in general thrives upon people's fears, rational, warranted, or otherwise. And so my goal has been to operate from a space of wisdom and to come from a place of wanting to bless rather than wanting to hoard. And when you hear a lot of people in preparedness who've been in it for a while, and this isn't coming from a place of judgment, this is coming just from a place of observation, right? Because I want to do better myself, and I know a lot of us want to operate from a sphere of blessing rather than from a sphere of hoarding. But you hear a lot of the fear pandering coming from a place of, we have to clamp down and protect what's ours. And there's wisdom, obviously, in knowing our flocks and protecting what's ours. But I think the motivation for preparedness and really getting at the root, what's the real root issue? What is the real core motivation that is driving us? What's the fuel that's making our engine go? And when we're coming from a place of trust versus fear, it allows us to function in a much more healthy and sustainable mindset. Over the past really decade, I've seen the prepping cycles come and go. I've seen how the political cycles dovetail with people's fears, how whatever bits of anti-2A legislation come in really play into people. And again, I'm saying this from a place of observation, not judgment, but it's very easy to let our fears get a hold of us. It is much more challenging to operate from a place of trust and the desire to bless other people. So personally, my viewpoint over the past decade has shifted and morphed as I've gotten older and as I've matured in my world outlook. And I have a long way to go. I'm still on this journey with everybody else. But as I came from a place increasingly of wanting to be an obedient servant, wanting to operate in a sphere of preparedness out of a desire to bless people rather than to hoard, it's amazing how much opens up in your world. It's amazing how much peace and release that you get, but also how much blessing and how many good things happen to you in your life when you're operating out of a place of, I am doing this because I want to help people rather than I'm doing this because I want to hoard for my own selfish interest. And when we're coming from a place of, I am storing X, Y, or Z, I am training in X, Y, or Z because I want to be an asset to my community, because I want to position myself to be a blessing in times of chaos to people, we're setting ourselves up to have a healthier perspective and, frankly, a less exhausting stint in this. I've seen these cycles come and go where people literally go from the world is fine and there's no need to worry about anything because person X is in office to absolute panic, absolute irrational behavior the next day because their worldview just got shattered and now they're operating from a place of fear. When we're operating from a place of trust in the Lord God Almighty, the creator of heaven and earth, and wanting to be an obedient servant and a wise steward of the resources that he has gifted to us, we're coming from a place of sustainability. When we're operating from fear, we tend to be making poor decisions. Fear overwhelmingly doesn't tend to suit us. It's there, obviously. Fear exists. The fight or flight mode exists to keep us safe from predators and from scary and dangerous situations, but it's not meant to be a place that we perpetually operate in. It's meant to be a snapshot, a window for a limited amount of time in order to enable us to make critical energy expenditures, life-saving wise. So when we're operating from a place of blessing, we're coming from a place of abundance. And when you have a mindset of, I'm being obedient, I'm trying to function the way that I am because I want to be able to help people, that's a much healthier place to be, much less toxic. And you'll find that when you're coming from that place of operating in blessing versus operating out of fear, from a sphere of abundance versus a sphere of scarcity, that you're probably going to make better decisions in your life. And you're probably going to be more choosy as to who you keep around. And the people that you choose to associate with. I don't know about you, but there have been times in my life where I've looked back and I'm thinking, this is a place that I really, looking back on it, it was not a good place for me to have been at. This is an individual or a group of individuals that it didn't really serve me in the grand scheme of things to be associated with. And you look at these places and you're operating out of this, looking backwards in a sphere of fear. When I have operated in my own life in a sphere of fear and in a sphere of scarcity rather than abundance and blessing, it's caused me to view my decision-making calculus poorly in the long term. And so I want to encourage you that as the days are moving forward and as you're choosing to make decisions with your money, with your time, etc., that you operate from a sphere of blessing and from abundance as you're walking in obedience to the Lord. Because when we delight ourselves in the Lord, He will give us the desires of our hearts be. We will, when we're acknowledging Him, He's going to make our path straight. As we're moving with the energy and the direction that we need to in submission and obedience to His word, He's going to take care of us when we're diligent. And that obedience, I think faith to me, as I've grown in this, faith to me has definitely taken on a much more Hebrew understanding, much more biblical understanding. Because when we think about faith, for instance, in a Western Greco-Roman concept, that tends to be more of a credo ascension. Like I give lip service to the fact that I believe something, but evidence is kind of a side story. I do not have to have evidence in order to have faith. And I know this may rustle some feathers, but the bottom line is when you look at the old school understanding of faith from the biblical understanding, the textual understanding of faith, it is synonymous with the word to walk, halacha in Hebrew, to walk. So my faith is evidenced by my walk, and my walk evidences faith. So it's kind of like they dovetail back on themselves. There's not this, oh, I trust God, but I'm going to panic here. He is the same God yesterday, today, and forever. And when we're walking in a place of faith and abundance and obedience to His will and to His word, He causes things to line up in our lives. That doesn't mean that we're not going to go through trial. It doesn't mean that we're going to be shielded from discomfort, pain. But what it does mean is that our perspective allows us to have strength and walk through that discomfort with a bigger picture in mind, coming from a place of abundance and blessing versus a place of scarcity and fear. So I hope that was helpful for y'all today. If you enjoyed the video, I hope you'll subscribe. You can also support me on Patreon, Subscribestar, Cryptocurrency, and PayPal. If you want to train with me in either the internet realm or the physical realm, I got 2 options for you. So you want to learn how to care for your family at home in case we enter into a scenario where it's either not safe or not advantageous to seek out medical care traditionally. You can take my 4-hour class online. You can go to thepatriotnurseacademy.com. It's 4 hours, it's $129. Or you can train with me in an in-person setting. My in-person training events, I've got 2 and 4-day options available. You can find my full schedule at thepatriotnurse.com. Knoxville, Tennessee is your next 4-day opportunity. The other 2 4-day opportunities I'm going to have this year are in Salt Lake City in November, and I'm planning to add a 4-day training opportunity in Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth area as well. Also got 2-day opportunities in Indianapolis, in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Those are in a couple months, and then also Philadelphia as well. Again, check the schedule at the website, thepatriotnurse.com, if you want to train with me in person, or also you can go online as well in the Patriot Nurse Academy. Have a very, very blessed week, y'all. I hope this video was a blessing to you, and I hope it was an encouragement to really evaluate where you're coming from afresh. We all need it from time to time. Have a wonderful week, guys. For now, it's Patriot Nurse signing off, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.